that the mind-only school has one of the best explanations of it, and it's almost right. Like all the other schools, they are almost right, but they are useful. They are useful. And got to start my computer. My cursor froze again. And rather than give you lists of things, I have an extremely silly diagram to show you. Okay, according to the mind-only school, your mental seeds, these little seeds or imprints, are planted by everything you think, say, and do. All right? And it creates an imprint in your mind. And that imprint becomes what they call a bakchak, a karmic seed. Yeah. And then that seed ripens and then creates your world and creates you observing your world at the same time, interestingly enough. So that's why they call it mind-only school. The seed, in one reason, the seed, this imprint, is stored in something. They come up with this idea. Well, there must be a part of your mind where these are stored, called the foundation consciousness. Okay, and it's almost right. It's not right because they claim, because they're a functionalist school, that these things have to have some existence of their own in order to function. So they say the foundation consciousness is actually a thing. Karmic seeds are actually a thing. Okay? But anyway, it looks something like this. Okay. This cloud is your foundation consciousness. That is where the karmic seeds called bakchaks, say bakchaks?
Bakchaks.
Okay, are stored. They swim around in there, fed by ignorance, misunderstanding the world. And then when conditions are right, one will ripen into an irritating boss or something like that, or an irritating candidate for office, okay? From that very same seed comes your Miki Wangpo. Say Miki Wangpo.
Miki Wangpo.
Oh, Miki, you're so fine. That means your eye power, your ability to see, and the consciousness that goes along with it. So they say that it's the bakchak forms the foundation consciousness into the consciousness of the object and the consciousness of your perception. It's almost right. It's very, very similar to how it actually works. And again, the only problem is, and actually Geshe Michael tells the story, this is the only time he interrupted a Dharma teaching at the monastery. He said, "That's perfect! That's how it works! What's wrong with it?" You know? And then I think Geshe Rinpoche was teaching him, said, because they think that the foundation consciousness and the seeds actually have an existence of their own, that they're self-existent. Okay. So there is a thing called the mind-only school. It is something that Lord Buddha taught, okay? Does that mean we are just foundation consciousnesses in a box imagining everything, okay? The mind-only school kind of runs with that and takes it as, yeah, that's how things work, okay? What Lord Buddha meant by mind school, in a positive sense, he means mostly mind, okay? Your mind is not mime. Okay, mostly mind, all right? Everything you experience, the biggest, most important ingredient is your mind. So it could be called the mostly mind school, all right? And that would be more accurate, okay? In a negative sense, it's to try to erase any idea of the self-existence of things that Halliburton built the world and heaven and earth and everything else, okay? Not a creator. Okay. So the whole point of the term mind-only school is, in a positive sense, mostly it's your mind. In a negative sense, nobody made all of this stuff. I do have to reboot. What a bummer. Okay. So how is this different? Think about it. How is this different from your understanding of how karma works? It's kind of close, right? You say, think, or do something, plants an imprint in your consciousness. That ripens into an image of your world. Also, you yourself is a result of a karmic seed. to experience yourself the way you do is a result of a karmic seed. It's almost right. And as a matter of fact, somewhere in, it's the logic course, or is it course 15, Interpreting the Buddha? For the most part, in this lineage, in our heart of hearts, we are all actually mind-only school. We haven't really actually realized the whole there is no spoon thing, okay? But it's very functional. And then Winston, who's come here to teach, right? Have you gotten teaching? I love Winston. I love him so much. Miss him a lot. He was director of Diamond Mountain when I first went out there, and then he decided that, rightly so, that raising the kids in this godforsaken desert was not a good idea. So he left. But I miss him a lot. It's so great when he comes back. And every time he would come back for a visit during a class, class would just stop. And we have someone very special here tonight, without which you would not be here at Diamond Mountain. That's the first director, Winston McCullough. And then everyone stands up and applauds and applauds and applauds. Try and get him to shut up. They just keep applauding because everyone knows Winston is awesome. Why did I bring up Winston? He is an incredible scholar of the mind-only school. He just really dove into this stuff and really went into it. And he said during a retreat, before Diamond Mountain University actually started, just a little retreat there, he said, mind-only school will get you halfway through Tantra, halfway through the highest school. It'll get you all the way through creation stage, K-REM. To take it the last 9 yards, you need the highest view. You need the Madhyamika Prasangika school. Otherwise, it's just not going to work. But yeah, he is just an incredible teacher of mind-only school. And it's extremely useful. It's not a waste of time. Because, and I always joke, it's like that scene I've been referring to in The Matrix. It's almost perfect like that. He's going into the apartment to see the oracle, and there's all these candidates to be the one, the savior. And there's this weird little monk kid with an inexplicable English accent. Because it's a trope in movies that someone who's more advanced than us always speaks with an Oxford accent. You ever notice that? Aliens, and stuff like that, advanced civilizations, they always have I kind of resent that. But anyway. And so the kid's sitting there bending spoons with his mind. And, Neo's watching them, and the kids start explaining, it's not so much that the spoon bends, it's more that you bend. Mind-only school. Things are happening. It's you, your foundation, your foundational consciousness bending, not the spoon. Then you realize the truth. What's that? There is no spoon. Okay, that's Prasangika. All right, there is no spoon school is Prasangika. Okay. All right, moving along. I think I have another ridiculous drawing. No, not yet. No, the next part is really important. It's Maitreya's 6-step process explaining basically how our suffering machine works. Okay, sometimes I want to teach this next part. I want to have a big flag behind me and dress like Patton, because this is this is the battle plan, all right, to stop suffering. This is the what's coming up next is how all the pain in the world works. Okay, Maitreya 6. All right. It starts with bakchaks that you have all the time for misunderstanding the way things exist. Say dakzin, niki, bakchaks. Okay, dak is self, and implied here to be self-existence. Zin is a very cool word. It means to hold something or holding on to something. So if you have a teacher, Lobsang Chun Zin, that means Chu Dharma Zin, holder of the Dharma. That's Geshe Michael's monk's name, Lobsang Chun Zin. Also, encouragement we'll give to each other sometimes when the going gets really rough and you just want to get really mad and hurt people and stuff. Zinsam, say zinsam. A tsam is the boundary of a retreat or the other boundary. Zinzam means hold the line. Hold the line against your mental afflictions. Okay, ni is two or the two kinds, and then ki bakchak. Okay, so this is bakchaks or mental seeds for holding on to the two kinds of self-existence. What two kinds are we talking about? The self-existence of me and the self-existence of everything else, or me and mine, they say. Me and everything occurs to me. Those two parts of the you back in the silly drawing, okay? What happens, and we've had these seeds from beginningless time. A certain times comes up, and then dakzen nike. Say dakzen nike. The two kinds of holding to self-existence, kie, are born, ripen. Okay? The seeds pop. Alright? You see yourself and you see all these other objects in the world. And then yeong, myong, say yeong, myong, tsolmin tok. Yeong is pretty or attractive. Myung, what can you guess? Not attractive. These apparently self-existent things appear as attractive or unattractive. All right? From that appearance, you start to develop something inside of you. Say dushak, sheidongkye. Liking and disliking are born. Okay? You see attractive objects and unattractive objects. You like them or you don't like them. And because of that liking or disliking, okay, sak we had before. It was in the preliminaries to meditation. Jang sak, gathering goodness. Okay? Le is karma. You gather karma. All right? Say le sak. Okay, because of your liking and disliking, you collect karma. What does karma do? How's karma planted? In the form of imprints in Tibetan, bakchaks. So this thing is korwa kor. Korwar kor. Say korwar. Kor. You circle around in suffering. So this is how the engine works, okay? All right, you have seeds for self-existence. They ripen, things appear as self-existent. They appear as beautiful or ugly. You like them or dislike them. You act on that, plants more seeds. The seeds ripen. Okay, so you get how this works, all right? Yes?
So the part where you gather karma
Mm-hmm.
and the bakchaks are like, I plant the seeds, or I do the action, teaching mind and karma. The bakchaks are kind of like storage, right? Like that's kind of where they're
That is, yeah.
They are until they ripen.
Until they ripen. Right, exactly. So how to reverse this process? Oh, I don't know, maybe take vows and try and act and speak and think differently. That starts to wipe this out. Maybe because of that, you start to loosen up your liking and disliking of things because you understand where those are going to lead. And then you start to realize maybe all these things that are beautiful or ugly are because of me, because of my actions, all right? Rather than something intrinsic to those things. The more you understand emptiness, all right, things appear less and less self-existent for you. Fewer seeds, all right? So, vows, understanding, reverses the process. You can start to dig your way out of the hole we're in, right? You can start digging, by changing your behavior. This links an understanding of emptiness to suffering and karma, all right? Seemingly two disparate ideas, emptiness and karma. How do those things relate? If we understood emptiness, we would not be planting these seeds to see things as self-existence, ourselves or other things. The more we understand emptiness, the more we loosen our death grip on reality, and it's literally a death grip. Okay, every death certificate should say, cause of death, misunderstanding the world. All right, that is the cause. That is the cause. Doesn't matter whether it's a car accident or heart attack or cancer. Misunderstanding the world is the cause of death and rebirth and suffering and stuff. Okay.
If I ever die, I wrote that on my card.
You got to talk to a doctor, I think. They're the ones who fill them out. So, yeah. All right, let me bring up that page, see what I'm missing. Yeah, this is one of the most important ideas in the whole shebang. Because it's the basis for everything we do or don't do. Yeah, I backed up. If you're interested in the Tibetan this thing, the foundation consciousness, you'll have to explain this process in the homework, okay? The foundation consciousness, long name is Kunchi Nampar Shepa. Say Kunchi, Nampar, Shepa. Or Kunchi, just for short. So like someone says at Diamond Mountain, so what do you think the weather's going to do? And say, depends on the bakchaks in your kunchi, I guess. And everybody goes, ha ha ha. And you have to explain this process. The bakchaks, the mental seeds, are planted by your actions. Okay, they can be for a very long time. They replicate themselves through time, moment to moment. Kind of like one candle lighting another, okay, on through time. When the conditions are right, poof, it creates the subject and the object, okay? And then, of course, your reaction to that determines what seeds you plant for the next time around via that other process. What else did I miss? Yeah. Okay. All right, excellent. Okay, yes, now we have another silly drawing. Okay, you all heard the pen thing, right? You know where it comes from? The water glass analysis. What is the what? Which is actually in the text and actually a thing, okay? These three beings walk into a bar. They say, bartender, bring us something. Puts down a glass of something wet and flowing. Okay, now these three beings are in different realms. Technically, they can't see each other, but for the sake of this this teaching, they can see each other. There is a craving spirit, a being that through their eons of being selfish and stingy, they can't get it. They never get anything good, okay? And then there's a Lahoyan, a demigod. Okay, a ritzy part of San Diego is called La Jolla. I joke. That's my own little demigod realm there. Everyone's rich and beautiful and drives wonderful cars, and they live in a beautiful environment. And okay, there's a demigod. Okay, through good deeds. That's the thing to remember about these people we're jealous of. They got there because of good deeds. It's the only way possible. Let me do an aside before I go back into this. I used to really have it in for Bill Gates. Okay, especially in the late 90s when, it looked like Apple was going to collapse, and I knew everything good about Windows was stolen from Apple. And yet, how did Bill Gates become the richest person in the world? It wasn't his crappy software. It wasn't innovation. It wasn't any of these things, and it's just like, it ticked me off. Then I saw an interview. He was talking about his philanthropic work. Did I say that right? Anyway, his giving away money work. And you could see the sincerity in his face as he was saying, and then when I found out that lepers were really a real thing, I said, and not just something in the Bible, I said, well, Melinda, we have to do something about this. And it was heartfelt, and it was like, he was really pained to find out that lepers weren't just like some fairy tale, that there were people that were falling apart. And so he spent like $10 million to build a hospital to care for lepers in India, and it was coming from the heart, I could tell. Well, according to everything we've been taught, the only way he could have gotten wealthy is by giving. And he had very deep seeds for giving that were still ripening in this life, okay? That's when it's really fortunate when someone has this incredible wealth, which they gave from giving. They somehow know that it comes from giving more, right? Warren Buffett's another one, right? You know, he's just like, how did he get rich? Oh, it must be his investment strategy. No, he's a generous heart, okay? It's really bad when someone is like, finds himself being really wealthy and, you know, they were able to easily scatter up the ladder of success, and then the first thing I want to do is kick it away from the building. That's really sad. That's going to be a really hard fall. That's going to be a really hard fall. But, yeah. Okay, so water glass analysis. I got there because of demigods, people that are, you know, so blissed out from their goodness that, you know, they just, whatever they like just appears for them, just thinking about it. I guess the God realms is the only place the secret actually works. Okay, but it's because of their karma, all right? It's because of their karma. It's not because they visualize properly. And they look at the stuff on the table there, and they say, oh, ambrosia, nectar of the gods, my favorite. I'll have some. Now, there's also a craving spirit there, someone who is jealous and stingy all the time, who never gets anything good. They go, wow, pus and blood. I guess it'll have to do. All right, all they can, you know. And then the human goes, oh, good, water, I was a little thirsty. So the question is, what's in the jar? What's in the glass? That's where the pen thing comes from. Is it a chew toy, or is it a, you know, because guess you might, because this is a great explanation of how emptiness works and how we can all perceive a different world. But he would have to go a long time explaining what a hungry ghost is, and okay, that's not something you've never seen. So he took the two realms that we know of, that we can see, the animal realm and the human realm, and came up with the pen thing. So the water glass analysis. All right,
It seems like we can't see demigods, so the jealous gods.
It seems like it, but supposedly you got your angel, your human, and your hungry ghost. You see, there's drawings of hungry ghosts. They have like thin tube-like necks and bellies as big as a mountain, so they're never satisfied. A little bit like us. I tend to think these places actually exist, and these existences actually exist, because I can just project outwards from what I already experience, right? And you can just so if someone is to ask you about this water analysis, and go back and read it again, because it's really a cool thing, and it's good to be able to explain it instead of going, whoa, like I'm doing actually. Okay, so the three objects that the beings are seeing, the pus or the water or the nectar, you can say that they're all the same base, wet and flowing thing that's in this jar. See my three wavy lines? Blood and pus, water, nectar of the gods. Okay. This is the Nirlingi-gyu, the material cause of what they're seeing. Okay. The contributing factor is what each of their minds are bringing to the material cause. So you could say almost that the water has three parts. It is pus and blood. It is water. It is nectar. This is a pen. This is a chew toy. It's what they bring to it that makes it what it is. All right? Diamond Mountain. I think it's a terrible place. I don't have the seeds to enjoy it. It's awful. But then for other people, it's just like, it's the most incredible bliss realm. And there are good parts of it, obviously. Great teachings, great community up there. And some people claim that, you know, because of all the wind energy and all the heat, you know, those are like the elements, the wind element and the heat element, right? You're getting rid of the water and earth elements. Oh, there's a lot of earth element there too. Rocks and sand and gravel. But, yeah. So that is the water analysis. Has anyone not heard this before? Do I need to embroider more on it? Because they're going to ask you, Explain what's happening when the three different beings see it as being three different things. Use the concept of three parts, three material causes, and three contributing factors. All right. The wet and flowing stuff has three parts. It has the blood and pus part, it has the water part, and it has the nectar part. Okay? The liquid is the material cause, as I said, the nirlingigu. All right? The contributing factors is the karma of each of the three kinds of beings and what they bring to it. And then they have a total experience of it. Okay, what happens when the hungry ghost grabs it and drinks it down and it sizzles when it goes down? What happened to the nectar and water? It doesn't exist anymore. Very interesting. Okay. So that is the water analysis. We're almost there, folks. Cooking through. We're almost done. Okay. How to make your karmas more powerful. What are the factors that go into the planting of a karmic seed? And this is Geshe Michael's argument for when people come to it. But I am giving money. I am, and I'm still broke, and bill collectors are calling me all the time. Says, are you doing all four parts of the action? Are you doing all four parts? First of all, the basis or object. And on the next page, to whom or what are you doing the karma? Okay? There are more powerful objects and there are less powerful objects. We're going to talk about, I think the last poster is what more powerful objects are. To whom or what are you doing the kindness, okay? And then next is the thinking involved. And the second part has three parts of its own, as we love to say in the Gelugpa lineage, okay? The thinking that amplifies this or unamplifies this is the correct identification of the object. All right, the example, and they asked to use the example in killing. I don't know if it's a great idea, but all right. So this is who you're trying to kill, okay? Did you correctly identify the object? When you came into the room and machine gunned the bed, was it a pile of pillows or was it, something else? Okay, so identification of the object. Another power factor in thinking is a mental affliction involved. Or the mind of virtue involved, okay? The more powerful the affliction or the virtuous state of mind, the more powerful the karma is. The more powerfully it's planted, the more powerfully it'll ripen. And the sooner it will ripen if you are trying to, for example, alter the fabric of reality, okay? You need to have all these factors in mind, okay? And then they say motivation, but actually the thing is premeditation involved. Did you mean to do it or did you not mean to do it? This is obviously if you're driving and there's all the bugs on your windshield, okay? There's no premeditation involved. It minimizes the power of the karmic effect. So if you want to plant a very powerful seed and start changing the world, you should pick a very powerful object to whom to do your deed, all right? You make sure it's the right being. You make sure you have an incredibly virtuous state of mind, like wanting them to be happy, trying not to think so much, I'm totally going to change my world with this, and my life's going to get so much better, which is okay, a little bit. But thinking the goodness something you're going to do for them is. And then think about it a lot. Think about it a lot. Plan, plot your goodnesses, okay? That makes us more powerful. Okay, then there's actually carrying out the deed, the actual doing of the deed. And then completion, the result, okay, of your deed. In the case of killing, which is what the homework asks for, this refers to who is it you're trying to kill, thinking involved we already talked about. This is like taking a weapon or whatever and carrying out the deed, and this is whether the person dies or not, okay, just to bring that to brass tacks. Interestingly, I haven't seen this in any other teachings, but I think it's really an incredible coincidence. If you've ever had the course on the 4 powers of purification, okay? So the 4 powers are what? Do you remember?
Are the R's the refuge?
Yeah. Refuge. Okay, this is also called the foundation power, right? Okay, what's another of the 4 powers?
Regret.
Okay. And
Refrain. Same.
refrain or restraint, yeah. And
Or restore or
let's go restitution.
One of those are ones.
Restitution. I can't spell. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. Isn't it funny how there's a direct correspondence between the power of the karma that you're trying to plant and if you're trying to get rid of an old bad karma, right? Notice this? Okay. Refuge, and not just refuge, but
Pronunciation too.
no, bodhicitta.
Oh.
Refuge in the wish, okay? That has a direct relation to the object. When you're taking refuge, you're honoring holy things. When you state the wish to reach enlightenment, you're promising to help all other living beings who aren't enlightened yet. So refuge and the wish cover all enlightened beings and all unenlightened beings. You've covered the object, okay? Regret, of course, minimizes the power of the thinking in the deed that you've done. Isn't that interesting? Because this is thinking, boy, that was really a bad idea. Doing the deed, not doing something is the opposite of doing, and completion, restitution. And I've never seen that teaching anywhere, but I was teaching the 4 powers, and I'm like, whoa, isn't that a coincidence? So that gives some credence to that the 4 powers is actually a thing, because in the basic texts about what makes a karma more powerful, you're doing the exact opposite. Isn't that cool? All right, just a little tidbit for you. All right. So as we bring this home, there's a few more things we need to know. Okay, the root, we say getza. Okay. Sa is a root. Okay. I like to think of getza as like it's how much helium you have in your balloon, okay? This is your basic virtue. This is how high or low you are in the world. In the realms, okay? Your basic virtue is the helium that either lifts you up to human realms and up above, or if you lose that helium, you start to sink down to lower realms, okay? It is composed of 2 parts. Your Sunam Kitsok, say Tsunam Kitsok, and your Yeshe Kitsok. Your collection of merit and your collection of wisdom. Wait, what's that prayer we do in the end? Sunam Yeshe Zok Shing. That's saying by this deed may all beings complete the collections of merit and wisdom. What do you think a complete collection? Collect them all of merit and wisdom that gives you, right? It gives you the body and mind of a Buddha. So that's what that whole prayer is about, okay? It is possible to cut the root of your virtue, to tear a hole in your helium balloon, okay? There are 2 ways to do it. Wrong views, kind of saying, this karma stuff is stupid, there's no moral compass in the world, things are completely random, I can do anything I want. YOLO. You only live once. So I'm going to have fun, okay? That's like, your virtue just starts leaking out right away, all right? Terrible thing. And then they say intense anger at a bodhisattva. Now, fortunately, bodhisattvas all wear ID on their shoulder. Oh, wait, no, they don't. So it's better not to get angry at anyone in case it's a bodhisattva. The idea being that the object is so powerful, okay? Someone is completely committed. That goes back to that other chart, right? The object is so powerful that anger towards them, just tears a hole in your helium balloon. Okay, who can hold a sustainable wrong view? There's a certain kind of being that can do it, and they have certain characteristics. And at least one of these is really weird. Okay, have to be human, all right? You have to have the intellectual capacity to make a decision that karma's stupid, or that or that YOLO, okay? That's something, by the way, it seems to me that the party lifestyle, to not think about things and just try and like grab as much pleasure to yourself as you can, it really is kind of like an animalistic existence, if you think about it, you know? Just grab as much pleasure as you can, avoid pain all the time. It's a waste of human life because we have this intellectual capacity, we have this ability to put ourselves in other people's shoes and all of that. But if you just turn around and say, "I'm in it for me," you're like giving up your birthright as a human. So anyway, to give up your wrong view, you have to be a human. And the texts oddly say you have to be fully male or fully female. What the hell? Okay. It's this idea that if you are on the fence, and I think it has something to do with your inner winds, that you're not consistent enough or not stable enough to come to a firm belief in something. It's really weird, okay? How this has to do with, like, you know, I mean, our LGBT pansexual world, I don't know, okay? But it's this idea that it's really weird that you have to have a strong male or strong female energy running through you, which doesn't mean that if you're in a same-sex partnership that you can't have a wrong view, so you're not going to get out of it, okay? All right, you have to be intellectually minded rather than just kind of sensually minded in the moment kind of thing, okay? I think is really interesting because the two guys who wrote the two most famous books on atheism, right? Dawkins, and then who's the other guy? Hitchens? Okay, there's two really famous, yeah. Or maybe, yeah. But anyway, these guys are really powerful intellectuals, and they're really smart. And then they're saying, you know, that there's nothing supernatural in the world at all. I mean, they kind of like throw everything into the bucket of, you know, like one book's called The God Delusion. Like everything goes out with it. And they use as a basis of their argument, you know, if it's not scientifically demonstrable, it doesn't exist. The Shravakas, we're back to them, right? Okay. But you have to say, they are powerful intellects, you know, and it's hard to argue with them because they're pretty darn smart. I think that's kind of interesting. And yeah, you have to be capable of a sustained and powerful view. Like you've really thought it through, not just like, you don't destroy your root of virtue. It's like, I really don't want to think about karma today. I'm just too tired. I don't want to analyze my thoughts and feelings right now. Or, as I said, when I was washing dishes during the first great retreat, and Venerable Chuki's in there, and I was studying the Bodhisattva vows at that time, and I say, Chuki, I'm really worried about those two sudden death Bodhisattva vows. One is holding wrong views, what we're talking about, one of the things, and the other one is giving up the wish for enlightenment. You know, I say, Chucky, that seems really harsh, okay? It's like, because some days you don't give a damn. You just don't give a damn. And she said, Jim, if it were that easy, none of us would have our vows left. I mean, we're talking about a sustained belief, well argued, well reasoned, that taking care of other people is a stupid thing to do. Okay? Like, you know, Ayn Rand. Okay? There's someone who's not, you know, not an intellectual slouch, but really came to a really strange conclusion. So, very interesting. And she died broke and sick and collecting welfare, ironically. So, that's your helium balloon. It's made of these parts. This is how you tear a hole in it. This is what kind of person you have to be to tear a hole into it. All right, so after all of this, okay, if we're talking about karma, there is one more thing we have to talk about. Well, a couple more things. Where are the landmines buried, okay? What are the karmas, the actions that are go directly to hell, do not pass go, okay? The famous 5 non-virtues, or immediate misdeeds. Immediate because you go directly to hell, you do not pass go. Okay, so they say. You go to the lowest suffering if you do any of these. These are listed not in the traditional order, but in the order from the very worst to the Still terrible, but not as bad, okay? And there's a reasoning for this, and you have to come with it. Okay, the classic thing of creating a schism, all right? And if you've taken the full course, you know there's so many caveats. Basically, it's impossible for any of us to cause a schism right now because you had to be there at the time of the Buddha. His 2 disciples had to have come. There has to be a charismatic monk who like starts saying, no, Buddha's kind of right, but this is how it really goes, you know, starts a schism, and then one of the 2 main disciples patches it up, blah, blah, blah. Whole story to that. But creating a schism is the worst attack during the teachings of you know, an actual Buddha. And the reason is it attacks the Dharma body, okay? The one thing that can save everybody is understanding the world, okay? And to attack that, to cause doubt in the minds of beings when someone who's teaching the way out appears is a terrible, terrible thing to do, because it's not just your own suffering or one being suffering, it's the suffering of infinite living beings that could be getting the teachings on how to get out of suffering. And when you mess with that, it's a huge bad deed. There's a couple of asides here that I should probably go through. Obviously, if these are heinous deeds, they're called heinous deeds in some texts, it seems like there's things that are close to them, all right, that you could get in trouble with, all right? Criticizing another teacher or another lineage or something like that. Okay, honestly, some of my Diamond Mountain brothers and sisters, some of them getting quasi-famous, I don't like some of their methods. I really don't. Is that close to creating a schism? No. If someone asks me, you know, I'll say, well, I don't like how they do this or how they said that, you know, or I don't like how they're collecting disciples, okay? Not cool, and I can explain why. Is that creating a schism? No. No. But if I just said, you know, they're a poopy pants or something, you know, for no reason, or especially I'm just trying to build up myself, then it's a bad thing, okay? So I just want to throw that out there. Disagreeing with other sanghas is not creating a schism, okay? If there's a difference of opinion within your own group about your own teacher, that's not necessarily creating a schism. You need to talk it out. Anyway, just wanted to, yeah.
Would it be like religious intolerance to the point of like, if you were in a position of power where you could tell someone they couldn't practice their religion? Like,
Yeah.
Is that like...
Oh yeah, yeah. That can definitely be one. Definitely. But you know, we see it all over the place, among the Tibetans. Oh, come on. There's like, you know, so many controversies. Which is the real Karmapa? Okay? Is the Dalai Lama restricting religious freedom by not letting people make offerings to this one protector being? Or are those other people trying to, you know, there's so many controversies. So who's the real Karmapa? That's one of them. There, you know, all of these splits and things like that. I think it was Geshe Michael that said, you know, when you're looking at these controversies and trying to figure them out, it's like the old Miller Lite commercials. Tastes great, less filling. Tastes great. These 2 guys are arguing what's the best thing about Miller beer, but they're violently arguing about tastes great, less filling, tastes great. Okay, you know, it's we don't know why these things are coming up, okay? It generates controversy, it generates attention. Gee, maybe it's a ploy to get people to, yeah, I don't know. Okay. Drawing blood from a Buddha, all right, that comes from a specific story of his cousin, Devadatta or something like that, getting so jealous that he like launches a catapult at the Buddha. You know, like a house-sized rock comes flying and it hits him and it just like draws a little blood from his Achilles heel. And for that, Devadatta apparently went to the lowest hell immediately. But drawing blood, attempting to draw blood from a Buddha, because it attacks the emanation body. There's the being that everyone says is Buddha. You attack that, you're attacking the teachings, okay? Killing an arhat, someone who's already reached nirvana. Good news is they won't be upset about it because they have no mental afflictions, right? Bad news is this is an attack on a being who could help you a lot, you know, who could, you know, this is like, you know, killing the lifeguard and then you get caught in a rip current, it's stupid. Okay, and then killing your mother and father, okay? Why this? And just as I scrolled up there, this is kind of they say in this context, it's a denial that you could reach enlightenment. It's dissing your precious human rebirth, okay? It's taking these gifts and throwing them back in the face, It's like, YOLO, I'm just going to have fun, okay? So that is the worst to better, the horrible to not so horrible list. Traditionally, they're listing killing your mother and father, killing your arhat, drawing a blood from a Buddha with evil intent, and creating a schism. Almost exactly backwards, but sideways a little bit. Okay. Last thing. Okay, again, trying to create more how to invest your karma dollars, okay? What makes the karmas you're planting more powerful? And also, this is the Tantra breadcrumb that's in this course. I've decided, okay? So, the best objects for giving, all right? Or anything else, any other kindness, protecting life, whatever. Okay, humans better than animals, depends on the realm. It is more powerful to benefit beings higher up on the realm totem pole than it is. It's very nice to leave offerings for protectors. It's very nice to feed animals, feed birds when you're at lunch, all of that stuff. It's a more powerful seed planted when you're benefiting higher beings like humans, okay? I mean, clearly, yes, it's good to take in a homeless cat. It would be much better to give shelter to a homeless human, all right? And maybe just because humans have a higher capacity for suffering than animals do. I have a feeling that they're not drama queens like we are, okay? We create a lot of our own suffering. And speaking of which, suffering, the level of suffering of the being that you're benefiting, okay? So someone who is homeless, cold, hungry, sick, all of that is better than creating Stanford, what do you call it when you get money to go to school? Stanford, grants, scholarships, yeah. If you have $1 million, it would be much better to set up a homeless shelter than it would be to set up a scholarship for yuppie larva, right? Okay. Obviously, the people who are in the street are cold, are much higher need of shelter and food and warmth than, damn, can't get into Stanford, have to go to Cal State or whatever, okay? Helping beings who have helped you, your parents, your teachers, all of that, is a much more powerful thing. Why is that? I think it has to do with this, all of this has to do with the power of the seeds you're planting in your mind, okay? Benefiting someone that helped you, it's not a quid quo pro, is that what they call it, It's just like, it just makes a lot of sense to not ignore people who have helped you a lot and to give the best of what you have to them, okay? Rather than just some random person, all right? And then their high spiritual qualities. Obviously, if you can find an Arya or an Arhat or a Buddha, give something to them. That's my theory. Bill Gates' wealth, he put like a sesame seed in Lord Buddha's begging bowl because of the power of the object. He had this be the wealthiest man in the world, okay? High practitioners, people who are working really hard for it, people who are really going for it, plants very powerful seeds, all right? So this is how you could plant very powerful seeds and start to see a shift in your world. Why is this yeah?
I was going to say a lot of these are pretty subjective.
Mm-hmm.
And so kind of the idea that if I were, had the most amazing karma to see that everybody was a Buddha around me, or everybody was an Arhat around me, then that's equally amplifying my karma if I really thought that.
Funny you should say that. Because, like I say, I think this is the tantric breadcrumb in this, okay? Supposedly with Tantra, you can reach enlightenment in a single lifetime. You can plant extremely powerful seeds and get rid of all of your old bad karma, burn it off, and just like, boom, get enlightened, okay? A big part of it is how you treat your teacher, okay? You cultivate this view of your teacher as being not just some person, but like a Buddha who has come for me to take me the last 9 yards personally, okay? And that's a really powerful seed. So your offerings, your prayers for like this teacher that you're treating as an enlightened being, all right, if you can pull it off, you're planting super turbocharged thermonuclear karma. And that's how you can reach enlightenment in a single lifetime. That's how it works. And the thing is, that view of your Lama, it starts to infect other people around them. I mean, what really happened to me, you know, I first started getting these teachings and all of that, and I started taking the ACI courses. Then they're giving teachings from 3-year retreat, the first 3-year retreat. And I went to that first teaching, and it was so mind-blowing. And to me, Geshe Michael Roach appeared a certain way. Like, you know, no, it's just me, but holy shit, you know, it's like, wow. And then so that went on for 2 years, you know, going, what the hell was that all about? And then I was there when they came out of retreat, the 5 of them, and that was crazy. Like, okay, I could imagine these other beings are like that too. And then all the people that are around them, you know, and so you start seeing more and more holy enlightened beings that are already out of pain, all right? And then you go out to the godforsaken desert to like this secret, you know, it's like the opposite of a terrorist camp, okay? It's a save the world camp, all right? And study really intensely. And then you start to look at your fellow students and say, these people are totally not normal, okay? So that infection keeps going, all right? What if you could extend that to a town, to a city, to a state, to a country, to everybody in the world? Guess what? You have just saved every living being from suffering. Ki Jukshin Meto Tram Rira Lingshin and Degen Pati Sanye Shidu Nite Owaki Drokun Namdak Shingla Chuparsho Yiram Guru Ratna Mandara Tayami Ti Kewokun Sunam Yeshe Zok Zok Shin Sunam Yeshe Lejunwe Damba Kunyi Toparsho. You guys are totally not fooling me. Come on. All right. As you know, per tradition, no prostration at the end of a series of teachings. It means we have unfinished business together.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And as also is tradition, we have a big symbol of what this means to us. This is, you know, a card with writing in it, and other such things that go in cards. And
But what's its actual mode of existence?
yes. And really, this is just like a symbol, because we can't offer you enough thanks for all the work that you do. and all the hours and days and years and lifetimes that you've spent studying these things. And so please, please stay for a million years and teach us a million times until we finally get it.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
so
Thank you
much.
very much. No, you guys, Ami has trained you guys right. I mean, you guys have treated me like a king. I can't believe what a thing it is to just show up and teach, you know, because things are still trying to get rolling in San Diego, and it's like I have to do all the AV, I have to do there's usually not treats, you know, I have to do everything else, and you guys are just like, you're just, you know. I mean, if I didn't already think Ami was awesome, it's like you guys have totally like reinforced that, and you're a credit to her. You really are. I mean, if there could be any more. Anyway, so we.
Yeah, you should.
I don't know, because they're really good in Santa Cruz too. So like, what's halfway? You know, it's like it just shuttle between the two.
Bay Area.
Yeah, right, sure, okay. As soon as I win that lottery, sure. Maybe I could afford to rent a tool shed in somebody's backyard. Yeah, we'll see what happens. Yeah, but no, I'll try and make it up here a lot. You know.
Please
Yeah,
do.
thank you.
Or if you need us to like come down there for a weekend to show them how
Yeah.
to snacks and stuff.
I might take you up on that. Running a class. Yeah, all right.
Plants.
Well, you guys, thank you a million times. Oh, so